Welcome into the channel, everyone. Today we make some mirror welds. Now, why on earth would a welder need a mirror in the first place? Well, the weld's probably a tough repair where there wasn't a weld in the first place and some spot needs to be fixed, or one side is kind of hard to see or impossible to see unless we put that mirror in there. In my experience with pressure vessels and building power plants, there are some welds that are just really tight up against some walls. It could be any process that this encounters. It could be any part of the industry, whether you're in automotive, aerospace, you're doing TIG welding, flux core, stick welding, doesn't matter. It's just a weld in a tight spot that you have whatever you have in your hand and you're trying to make it work. That's what we'll get into today, is how we're going to be able to make a weld in a spot where we can't see too good. So this is what I have in front of me. I have a piece of 3-inch Schedule 40 pipe, and I've put it between two pieces of plate. What we're trying to simulate here is a piece of pipe that is in the corner of a room. We've got a butt weld to make. We are not able to see in here. If these walls were actually longer, I wouldn't even be able to get my shoulder past like this point. You know, I would be really cramped in here. So we're going to try to stay in front of this pipe all day today in order to make this weld. We are going to TIG and stick weld this. And then of course, to enable to see these back sides, you can get any different type of mirror. The best advice I can give you on mirrors is find the cheap ones. For anything that you can stick a magnet to, a magnetic mirror is going to be really helpful. More easy to manipulate. And I had an old mirror that had like a pivoting arm, right? Is an arm on a magnet that you can move around. That's what I carried in my box most of the time. I don't have that anymore. I found this at just the dollar store down the street. This was the combo, kind of a vanity kit. It has a magnetic mirror that has 10 times magnification. So once looking at it, it's like kind of really nice to be able to see that close, especially if you're not able to get your face or something into the position. That 10 times magnification really helps. I also have one of these little fit up tools. It works really good as the back side of the magnet in order to kind of shift that magnet around and manipulate it where I need it. For something that maybe isn't magnetic, like this mirror here, you can see on the back side, I've actually got some Velcro command strips. You can get these at the dollar store too. Found a piece of scrap steel, and now I have a light up vanity mirror, which is super nice. This is probably a little bit better, I think, when we move into the stick welding of things where I can see a much longer distance, whereas on this 10 times magnification, I'm really specific. It might be better for my root and hot pass with TIG. And then of course you have these other options. These are just some dollar store sticker mirrors. So they just peel off and stick to whatever you stick it on, right? And then they come off. If you keep a stack of them with you, you probably won't regret it, especially if they end up breaking. Whereas this very nice vanity mirror is nice to have around, and it's probably gonna help me out today, but I don't know if it's gonna make it through the whole video, even just one weld. The plan of attack is going to be the big thing. I think it's a big mental part of a welder's game. They know how to make this weld very easily. It's just hard. It's going to be hard, but if you can't do it, they're going to find someone else that can. Let's go over to the machine, get it set up to do some lift arc TIG. For today's weld, we're going to use the Lincoln Sprinter 180 SI. This is one bad mamma jamma for doing the combo mambo TIG stick. We're going to be running lift arc today. It does have the high frequency start with a foot pedal, but I think this is more applicable for like a field situation, so we're not going to run a foot pedal at all. This is a 200 amp machine, but we're going to run it all the way down to 100, and that's pretty much it. I love how simple it is to set up. We got basically that hooked up, the gas is in the back, got a quick connect here. We can hook up to our 100% argon, the Arcal Prime, flip on our gas, set our pressure, and we're ready to weld. This video is certainly going to be a little challenging to record. I am also going to sit my happy butt on a chair because this is at just the perfect height for that, and I'm not crouching for nobody. I got all suited up. One big thing, you can get arc flash in a mirror. Be aware whenever you're getting your torch in there and trying to get set up. Right now the ground's not on. I can't flash myself even though the pipe's blocking it. I can still get arc flash through a mirror. You can get arc burn off a white painted wall. People in the comment section that say you're getting arc burn from me flashing you on the camera, you're not going to get it on your cell phone, okay? You're going to be fine. I'm going to opt for keeping a fixed shade welding hood in. This is my custom one from Outlaw Leather, and my vintage view welding lens in it. This way I have no flashing going on and off that's going to disturb me from welding. I'm using the torch that comes with the Sprinter from their TIG pack. The only thing that I've changed, this is a Series 17 torch, but I've got a stubby set of consumables because comparatively speaking to like a standard 150, 200 amp torch with your jumbo consumables, it's just not enough room. Even a Series 9 torch will help. It's a smaller mini rig. I don't really love those because I like a bigger gas nozzle because I like to have a little bit more stick out in my torch. It helps me see a little bit better. The other thing about running a smaller torch, it's likely you're going to need some smaller tungsten. This one you can see is small enough that I can push it all the way in and I can get the right kind of stick out that I want. You can also do these little guys. You're just gonna have to get pretty good at breaking your tungsten apart and sharpening little pieces, because if you have a too big of a piece, you can put it in and it's just gonna hit the back of your torch, and that's gonna be too much stick out and you're likely gonna get porosity. I would say on a scale of 1 to fun, this honestly is not that bad of a weld to make. I've got a lot of room right here for my torch. It's really not that close up against the wall. I'm pretty much gonna have to use a mirror for the whole weld except maybe the root. We're gonna pull out a bunch of tricks today. I'm probably gonna look through the gap in order to weld. We're gonna have to switch to my left hand in order to weld, and then end up using the mirror to get this back side, and then we're gonna switch over to stick and use that mirror from then on out to cap this thing. So let's start by putting this root pass in. This one's gonna be a really hard one to shoot, guys, because I don't know if I can get an arc shot through that mirror. But what we're essentially gonna do is go as far over as possible so I don't have to use my left hand very much, maybe even all the way over to this tack, and come in and back feed this whole root. Might not be able to make it the whole way, and I'm probably gonna mess up a tungsten or two. Plan of attack. Try to get on this side of things, not arc strike on anything, and we're gonna make sure we're on that gap. Change my torch head a little bit. Already awkward. And that's just something you gotta get accustomed to when you gotta make a weld like this. Ah, my hood's falling on my head. Here we go. My hood's falling on my face again. Gosh darn it. Oh. We're going to try to ignore that first little bit because that looks like butt. Had my amps a little too high. Should have known I wasn't that guy anymore. We've got our amps turned down to 80. Who's that to think that I could just walk back into back feeding, looking through the gap? I hadn't done it in who even knows how long. If I'm looking down, it's no problem, but I'm trying to look straight at something and it's falling and it's making me mad. So I switched to this one. It's got some of the headgear that comes with it. This carbon fiber one's from Outlaw 2. It's a lot lighter. Yeah, that's staying in one spot. I'm trying to see my tungsten through the leading edge of my gap, because that's the only way I'm going to be able to see my stick out. And then I'm just kind of pointing back at my root pass, trying to dab my wire in there. This 80 amps is a little bit easier for me to control. And this hood right here has been also helping out the fact that it's a little bit lighter weight and the freaking thing's not falling on my face. Starting to get to a point where I don't necessarily need the back feed technique. Kind of see that wire now. We're just lay wiring it. We're at a pretty cold amps right now for this lay wire technique, 80 amps, so we're being pretty patient. I'm gonna tie into this tack and then that's where we're gonna stop. This 80 amps is just kind of cold, but it definitely was the trick. From that 100 amps was just getting away from me too much. It was falling down. The puddle on the inside was keyholing too much. Couldn't see straight. I mean, I can give you a number of reasons why that was no good, but the rest ended up working out. I'm gonna finish this left-handed side and try to leave us a good window to see that root. To put an open root in, you can imagine that switching from your less dominant hand is also pretty challenging, and you'd be correct. I don't have great advice for this other than you need to practice with it just as you would need to practice with anything else. Brush your teeth with your left hand, eat your dinner with your left hand. Just start doing stuff with your less dominant hand and you'll get a little bit more comfortable with it. I'll tell you right now, if you get in the habit of welding with your left hand just as often as you weld with your right hand, it won't feel any different. But for me, this is gonna feel like sin. Okay. Same thing, nothing changes. We just gotta use our left hand. Ugh. Oh. Okay, fix my torch angle. I mean, I'm getting stuff to stick. I don't know how pretty that's gonna look. I think it's gonna be awfully heavy. The hardest part with making welds like this, especially when you're new at it, or you haven't done it in a long time, or you're just straight up uncomfortable with the whole fact and the process. To fix that, I'm gonna have to get kind of fancy with my torch, and we might try to get a little bit of some washing out in there to try to smooth things up. There's no way I could have really got my right hand in there to get it. It wouldn't have made it any easier, so we just party on, Garth. Because I don't need to really be feeding from the back right here. I think I can honestly move my head over and just see it from the front. You gotta be really careful with it, because you can get out of hand with opening your bevels up trying to get back there. It's not really the right tool for the job. I can't get around to that point. I can see a little bit of a pinhole maybe back there. We're kind of knocking down that spot and that dirtiness, but we really got to try to find something else to get back there. We put the air grinder with the roll lock on. These wheels are good for surface conditioning and surface prep, but they can also be kind of used on the side to get into places, especially the coarser ones. Still not easy to get around and in there. I think I've got something clean enough back here to continue to weld on, or at least try to get this root fixed before we move on to a hot pass. Everyone wants to be a welder until it's time to do welder things. Now I've cranked up my amps to about 150, and again, now the only goal is to kind of wash this root out, spread out some of the metal that's already there. It's kind of like a consumable insert in one way, shape, or form. I wouldn't say the filler metal in there is super duper fused together. So what we're gonna do is, now that it's in there, it's in the gap that was an open root, now we can fuse it with just the arc, you know? I'm essentially just gonna be looking through this gap. Looking for my red light in there, the red glow, and I'm guessing on my arc length, depending on that glow, honestly. Let it suck back on purpose. When it comes to welding, all we really need is the two pieces of metal to be completely fused throughout. If we can at least make that happen, then X-ray should come back fine. X-ray doesn't show pretty, it shows density and cleanliness. I would say we definitely washed that out, and we fused whatever we needed to fuse. Ruined another tungsten though. Now we can see on this side here, we've really washed things out, kind of what we would probably do on the hot pass, but what we really did is we took all the metal that was right there, which was heavy, a heavy root, and we sucked it back in. I can look in here, I can see the top and bottom sides. It's much wider than the root that I had before, but it's flatter, it's smoother. It's not necessarily the same as my good side, but it's good enough that I can be confident that I probably got everything else. And you can see on the back side here where we've kind of smoothed things in from the chunky, lumpy stuff. It's much smoother. We'll still probably have to brush things. The next thing we're gonna do is turn our amperage back down, give everything a really good brush, clean up, maybe even have some room to put a wire wheel in here, maybe even kind of grind down and feather some spots, and then finish this root, and then switch to the hot pass. Now we take the plan of attack and really start utilizing our mirror. I've got my machine, the grounds off of it right now. And what we're gonna do is really start where we can see, and I'm gonna work opposite of what I would normally do. When I started this front side, we worked everything towards me. Now I'm gonna do everything backwards because I wanna take care of this back side first. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna light up, and the only way I'm gonna be able to get my filler metal around there is if I take it and give it a good bend. I'm gonna bend it around the circumference of the pipe that I have. That way I can get as much of that around as I can. This is like a lay wire process. I'm not really trying to feed anything, it's just kind of just putting that metal where I want it. And then I'm going to just wash what we did basically on the other pass, and wash all the way around until I just can't physically see anymore. And then I'll move my head over and look directly in that mirror. So really all I'm doing is looking in that mirror, kind of welding away from myself. As I'm looking in that mirror, everything that I see is actually going to be backwards. And once I get to that middle point, the back side of that pipe, I'll switch my head over and I'll be able to finish probably enough around where I can finish everything on this side pretty okay. We're probably gonna have to cut down on this wire size just have a good approach for it, because we only really want to try to do one swing at this whole back side. We've increased our amperage to about 145. We're going to give this a whirl. Really messes with your head, where your rod angle needs to be, where your tungsten needs to be. We're trying to more or less get a little bit under flush right now. Looks like I lost my filler. I don't want to sit right over that root with all that heat. This is certainly posing to be challenging. Gotta really start rotating my hand now. All that backwards business is really starting to get to my head here. Need to change my grip. That's what I was missing in my life. I needed to move my head to the other side of the pipe. It's killing me, man. Pretty much got across that back side. Now we're going to switch back to our left hand. Finish up this side. It's a little easier not having to think about being backwards and everything. Trying to maintain my arc length and keeping my wire in the right spot, because I'm trying to keep it in the puddle and I wanted to pull it out of the puddle, and vice versa with my TIG torch. God, my hand's hot. Now I'm aware it may not be the prettiest work that I've ever done. We're going to clean everything up with a brush, wire wheel, whatever we can, knock down any high spots and get it ready to cap for stick. We'll switch the machine over and then we're going to try to stick weld this sucker. It doesn't look horrible. Everything is flushed out. The back side does look a lot less uniform than the front side. We've got a little low spots in here, but I think we'll still be able to catch all of that with the cap as we stick weld this final 2 passes. I honestly thought the TIG was going to be a little bit easier than that, but again, it goes to show you guys, if you don't do this often, it's really tough. Again, with that mental game, I'm losing my patience here. I'm getting frustrated. I'm getting mad. 2 things you can't do while welding. You can't weld while pissed off, and you can't weld in a hurry. In order to prevent that, I switched my hood again to an auto dark hood, because I think that's a little bit makes more sense for stick welding as I'm trying to get set. The other thing we're going to have to do is bend our electrode again in order to stick weld this, but we have to be aware that the end of this rod is live and could hit that side of our plate and arc off. I want to try to have a bend at a certain point where I can weld, look at the pipe, then look at the mirror, finish this weld as far over as I can so that my tie-ins are here in the back side, a little bit hidden. I thought it was going to be a little bit easier doing the TIG portion of it, but that certainly ate my lunch. Let's hope this doesn't do the same. 85 amps here. I'm going to bend it right at these little black spots. We're going to try to work in and around. See what happens. As soon as I start losing sight of where I'm going, I'm going to switch to that mirror, trying to pull towards myself. Running out of flux. Definitely don't want to weld any further if we're running out of flux. I did not get as far as I wanted to get, but that's a lesson learned, I guess, right there. But that was honestly a little easier than doing the TIG welding. I'm gonna need just the tiniest little bit of rod to do like that back piece. About 2 inches in, maybe even a little less this time. 180 back at me, hood down. Run out of flux, long arcing, bad combo. We want to try to avoid that. I'm going to start coming from this way now and see if I can't finish that up. I'll do that again. It's so awkward being backwards. I'm like watching a puddle go away from me, but I'm having to pull towards me. We're just getting a little bit at a time. We've made more tie-ins than I would have liked to on that back side, but I can only get so much rod back there. Now, I would say from looking at things, the stick welding is going a little bit better. I didn't say it like looks better, but it's going faster. From this whole side, everything's really easy, really smooth. Looking towards the back side, definitely not near as glamorous. I've got a low spot right here. I don't see a bottom bevel line. That tells me at least I've tied into the bottom edge of everything. I have a couple good tie-ins, but this one right here, that one tie-in right there is really low. I think if maybe I start right here, come down, and then start coming this way, kind of takes away from the rule that I had that I'd rather have my start that I would tie into right on this side of stuff, but I don't know what else to really do about that. I'm just gonna do what I did before, bend this one a little bit further back like this. So when I light up, we'll see how far I make it. It's just you going from doing it correctly to doing it like reverse and all in one sitting there. I applaud anyone who is good at this. Ooh, gift that keeps on giving. Started losing flux there. I think I dropped off into that low spot though. We're gonna try to do what we did at the beginning here. Start here and then finish towards that back. That ain't pretty, but she'll do. Now we just gotta get the ugly off of it with a bunch of filing and a bunch of brushing. Now, taking a good peek at this, I'm not impressed with anything that I've did. Now, the cap looks okay on the front half. The back half just looks like scrambled eggs. Is there anything that's gonna fail on x-ray? I'm not sure. I think I got a lot of the stuff out. I saw there's some arc strikes, definitely some arc strikes on the pipe still, and probably on the wall. And I did drop into some low spots that I was able to fill in. I don't see any missed bevels. I see a skosh of undercut that I was able to still file out. I'm not saying that every mirror weld is going to be good, because I would say probably most of them, if not all of them, are probably pretty hard and tough to make. I can count on one hand the amount of mirror welds that I've actually had to do, and probably 2 of those was just practicing to get ready for the one that I thought I was going to have to make. Just do it. Like, whenever you see something, don't say I can't. Don't be the welder that says I can't. Jump in there, try to find a solution and work with it. Work through it. There is always a solution to the problem that's in front of you. We did, however, have a broken mirror by the end of it, so that's probably the reason why I didn't do so good on this weld, is because I got bad luck now, right? Who freaking knows? If you do want to see some of the stuff that we used today, like the Lincoln Sprinter 180 SI or the Outlaw leather welding hoods, or maybe some sweet FR gear from Ariat, check us out in the links down below. We'll see you all in the next weld. I'm so defeated right now, man. I can't even get this stupid tungsten out of it. I got that tungsten straight up stabbed in there. God dang, that's not good. Oh, my Lanta. Let's just keep wasting rods. That's fun, right? That's fun for y'all. That's not triggering at all for anyone.